So now they've got a new one. They're throwing a new snowball at the Switch 2, which is, hey, if you really look at it, what are you going to play day one on your Switch 2? What the heck are you going to play? There is one exclusive Nintendo game. And all the third-party stuff, it's just ports. We got to talk about this in depth because if they're going to bring it to Nintendo, I'm going to bring it straight back to them. And this is a two-part video where in the first part, we discuss exactly what's being leveled at the Switch 2 and how I feel about it. And in the second part, we rank all the launch games. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. The Switch 2 ain't got no games. You know, when I started seeing this pop up later this past week, I was like, do they have a point? I looked and I saw, okay, Mario Kart World is what everyone's excited about, geeked about. Based on all the different missions we've seen lately, it seems like that's going to be a infinite hours game, right? You're going to play multiplayer forever. You're going to play with your family and friends. You're going to compete online. You're going to play with your Discord community. You're going to go after all these missions, unlock all the characters, battle mode. There's a lot to do. That's a huge game. But like, is a console launch one game? Is a new $450 console, is it worth it if there's one game? Because then the rest of the titles that I'm excited about and a lot of Switch fans are excited about, Cyberpunk 2077, people are like, that's an old game. It's new to Nintendo fans. It's an old game. Hogwarts Legacy, okay, you could have played that on Switch 1. Kunitsigami, it's a very fun game on PS5. Switch for the first time, but you could have played it elsewhere. You know, we got these Switch 2 editions that have some dolled up features for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but you could have been playing those for years. The third-party stuff, it's all really available elsewhere, and you're looking at a couple of eShop titles like Survival Kids, which really isn't even that exciting. It's Fast Fusion and Mario Kart World, and they're both racing games. So, okay, on the surface, you're like, all right, that's a pretty mediocre, if not below average launch lineup. But here's what I have to say. First, let's flip the mirror, okay? I'm assuming that most of these people that are hating on the Switch 2, most people that are criticizing the launch lineup, I'm guessing most of them are Sony fans, Xbox fans, maybe some are Switch fans that are just, I don't know, they don't like the new system, but I'm guessing most are other console fans. Dude, have you gone back and Googled your launch lineups lately? The Xbox Series X launch lineup didn't have an exclusive game. It had games that ran better. It had games that looked better. It did not have an exclusive game. I found that to be demoralizing when I got an Xbox Series X. I was like, okay, this tower is big and it's powerful. What do I do with it? Because I could already play these games on my Xbox One X and it wasn't that much worse. It wasn't that much better. Like Nintendo, their Switch 2 is significantly better. We can play games on Switch 2 that were not possible on Switch 1, like Cyberpunk 2077, whereas people could play Assassin's Creed Valhalla on their old Xbox and on their new Xbox. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, so Xbox, you don't really have a leg to stand on. PlayStation, PS5 had two exclusive games at the start. Demon's Souls was a remake, and Miles Morales was a DLC, basically, for Spider-Man. So now we're going to compare basically Fast Fusion and the Welcome Tour. Don't forget the Welcome Tour. And Mario Kart World versus those. And Demon's Souls was a very cool game. It was great to relive that after experiencing so much of the Dark Souls phenomenon and then going back to Demon's Souls and being like, wow, this is very challenging. It looks beautiful now. But there was definitely something to this game, even if it got a bit overlooked upon its initial release. I'm telling you, in my opinion, Mario Kart World usurps Demon's Souls every single time. Now, Miles Morales is cool. Miles Morales is a cool big DLC, almost an expansion pack type thing. We are getting some DLC flourishes for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, and we'll shortly after get some DLC flourishes for Kirby and for Mario Party Jamboree. But what neither of these consoles had was a DK Bonanza coming right at you a month after launch. And that's where the Nintendo Switch 2 launch lineup becomes a much more stretched out launch lineup, and I think ends up feeling just great, okay? Yes, there's not 6 brand new games to buy on launch day, but raise your hand if you have enough money to buy a Switch 2 and 6 brand new games. Like, in some ways, it's nice that you can just download the upgrades if you have the online service for Zelda and play those with the better frame rate for free. In some ways, it's nice that you can see, like, some improvements to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for free because you're dropping $450 on the system, $80 on Mario Kart, or $500 for the bundle. The Pro Controller's $85. Any accessories you get are just boosting that cost, and that is a ton of coin. And you got to be ready because, oh, by the way, Nintendo is keeping the launch window full. It's not a launch day lineup for the Switch 2. It's a launch window lineup. Donkey Kong Bonanza drops July 17th, a month after launch, and you can look at the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. They did not have a big game dropping a month after launch. Those consoles came out in November. There was nothing big in December. And then Nintendo is going to do it every single month. See, this was the strategy that worked so well for the Switch 1. Switch 1 launch date, I love Snipper Clips, but a lot of people slept on that. It was basically Breath of the Wild, and oh, by the way, you could play Breath of the Wild on your Wii U. Now, I know a ton of people didn't have the Wii U, so it made it seem like Breath of the Wild was this big Switch game, but Breath of the Wild was on a big, flat, circular disc that could slot in your Wii U. The Switch 1 launch lineup was not a day one lineup, it was a launch window lineup that was continuously dropping hit after hit after hit throughout the entire first year, leading up to Mario Odyssey in the holiday period, and continuing onward where it was like there was one big game pretty much every single month. And I feel like Nintendo is trying to recreate that because we already know about Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Metroid Prime 4, and more. There's Kirby Air Riders, you've got the Switch 2 editions. They are going to bring more that's not even announced yet. The next Direct is going to show the November game because Pokemon Legends ZA is October 16th. That ain't November. That ain't the big holiday game. There is still a big holiday game. So Nintendo's launch day lineup, yes, it's right up there with the most recent of them. It's right up there with PlayStation 5, and it's better than Xbox Series X, and I'd argue it's better than PlayStation 5 because a brand new Mario Kart World, to me, is a significant step above a remade Demon's Souls or a DLC expansion Miles Morales. That is tacking on to an already existing last-gen game, and that is remastering, remaking a game from multiple gens ago and making it look really great, but more as a test for Bluepoint to work on graphics and the power of the PS5. Nintendo is giving you the first new Mario Kart game in over 10 years. That is a massive launch title. Now, yes, there's been some massive launch titles in Nintendo's history, games like Super Mario World and Super Mario 64, but typically launch periods, they kind of are slow. And what's funny is Nintendo is getting criticized for this when in reality they're going to end up having the best first 6 months of a console because that's how they've set this thing up. I bet you Nintendo could have dropped Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Kart World on day one, and frankly they should have. I think that would have actually buoyed Metroid Prime 4 and been a great boost for that to be a launch day game. I think tons of people would have gotten in on that, and if for some reason you didn't have an interest in Mario Kart World, it gave you another direction, a totally different genre, somewhere else to go with your dollars. But the fact that Nintendo is going to continue to release these games throughout 2025, I cannot lie. You got nothing in this argument. Saying that the Switch 2 launch lineup sucks is flat out wrong in comparison to the other consoles, and there are games that don't just run better on Switch 2, they can only run on Switch 2. That's a big difference. PS5 and Series X had all of these step-ups, all of these upgrades, to play the games that you could already play in a better way. We, Nintendo Switch owners, could not play Cyberpunk 2077. We, Nintendo Switch owners, could not play a number of the other third-party games that are launching with this system. Some we could, like Hogwarts Legacy. Many we could not. Nintendo Switch 2 is opening a whole new treasure trove of third-party games that were not possible on the Switch 1, and that is a difference maker. And then, oh yeah, Nintendo is going to release hit after hit after hit, and they're new games. If you remember, one of Nintendo Switch 1's earliest heavy hitters was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That was not a brand new game. It felt like it for a lot of people, but both Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the two first big games on Switch 1, they were actually crossover titles. And Nintendo Switch 2 does have a few crossover titles, but the first two big games, Mario Kart World and DK Bonanza, those are Switch 2 exclusives. We are starting off stronger, faster, better, bigger than the Switch 1, and look how that went. 150 million people say it went good. And then Nintendo continued to deliver franchise after franchise. They didn't wait years between releases. They didn't have a blank year where they didn't release anything first party. They didn't give you one game in the year that was what you're supposed to hang your hat on as the exclusive and the reason you had the console. They're going to keep it coming in hot. They're going to have exclusive third-party games, exclusive first-party games, exclusive eShop games, and I think there's nothing to worry about the Switch launch lineup. In fact, Thank goodness I don't have to blow even more money right away. Give me a month to save up a little bit, and I can get Donkey Kong Bonanza on July 17th and feel really good about it. So to all the people downplaying and naysaying the Switch 2 lineup, I say show me what you got. When was the last time your console had this phenomenal, amazing, beautiful launch lineup? I would argue that Mario Kart World is actually a golden ticket for a launch lineup. Rise? Is that what you're going to throw at me? Rise? What other games you got day one that are the caliber, the quality, and have the anticipation and hype of the new Mario Kart game for the first time in over a decade? Mario Kart World is going to be the evolution of Mario Kart. You're going to play it for the next 6, 7, 8 years, and it is day one. Pretty good, better than Switch 1 in many ways, and definitely better than a lot of these other consoles. So launch day does not define a system. For Nintendo, though, the launch window is something they focus extensively on. We already have a list of games. They're going to crush it in 2025. Don't feel like your purchase is going to have to wait and gain dust. There's plenty to play. You're going to have lots of options, and it's not like we could probably buy 6, 7, 8 games anyways, given the cost of games these days. So let me know your take in the comments down below, how you feel about it. I'm going to rank all the games for you soon. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Just a few days to go. Just a couple days to go. I think it's like 3.5 at the time I post this video. Freaking crazy. Appreciate all you being here. Stay tuned from now through the Switch 2 launch and beyond. I got you covered. This is going to be the most fun place to be. Until next time, though, everybody. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.